To the second hour of Kenya's This is Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time, and we are glad that you're joining us on NTV, on Nation FM, and those who are streaming the show live on YouTube, on Facebook, and TikTok, and Instagram, everywhere we are. And if you miss a conversation at this time, you can still catch up on the conversation because you'll find all those conversations on YouTube. We are also on your podcast of choice. You'll find the podcast, each of the conversations that we have, right? So in the next hour, we want to have our political conversation. And Jeremiah Kioni, the Secretary General of Jubilee Party, is our guest. He's here in the studio. We're going to delve into that shortly. First, we also want to know, where is Matiang'i? Is he a member of Jubilee or not? He'll tell us. But before we do that, as you know, every hour we start the hour with tracking what the newsroom is tracking. We call it the News Fix. Mariam, what do we have this hour?
Some unfortunate news coming out of Haiti. One Kenyan officer died from injuries during an operation in Segur-Savien, that is, of course, in Haiti. Multinational Security Support Mission Force Commander Godfrey Otunge confirmed. On Sunday, February 23rd, 2025, one of our MSS officers from the Kenyan contingent was injured during an operation in the Artibonite department. The officer was immediately airlifted to Aspen Level 2 Hospital, but unfortunately succumbed to injuries, Mr. Otunge said in a statement. Of course, we do pass on our condolences to the officer. We've not been given his name yet, or confirmation of exactly, any other details as far as the loss of his life, but we do wish his family and, of course, friends our deepest condolences. It's a question of what exactly was the operation, what was the nature of the operation, how have we gotten any other information for any other of our officers in Haiti as far as their health, as far as, updates for what they're doing in Haiti. Do we know how long the mission will last, when they'll be back, the funding questions around the change of presidency from Biden to Trump. There's so many questions as far as this mission is concerned. But we're very, very sad to have lost a Kenyan life in Haiti.
Right, condolences indeed. You've raised a pertinent question, I think, since the transition to the Trump administration. We do need to follow up. I don't think there's been a lot of assumption, but we do need to track that and kind of look at that, the journey of this particular mission. But yeah, condolences. Yeah,
indeed. I think the most we know about the funding is the brief from President William Ruto, who said that he had a conversation with the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who assured that the U.S. will continue to support this particular mission. With all these other conversations and talk coming out of Washington, whether Washington even wants to continue supporting UN and UN missions and operations across the globe, then this will have to be a continuous conversation. But yes, it's sad that we have lost this particular soldier, and condolences to the family. Jeremiah Kioni, Secretary General of Jubilee, is here with us. Good morning, sir. Morning. Good to see you. Happy New Year. This is what we say until November.
Until November.
As long as you haven't seen someone.
And the desire is that the year will be happy.
Yes, right. That's the desire.
I'm not sure it is the case for all of us in Kenya.
How is it now for you?
Well, not for me. I think all of us. It's Paul who says what in the book of Corinthians? Crushed, but not
defeated.
Perplexed, but not in despair. Struck down, but not destroyed. I think that's the kind of thing we are. It's the kind of scenario that we are in. But Paul also says that. I think again in the book of Acts, he says that it's like we all are in the upper room, in prayer, waiting for the Holy Spirit to guide us and to tell us what next. But we have to make sure that nobody is outside the upper room, because if you are not in the upper room, then you become a nuisance. I feel like some people are not yet there.
So people should come and join us in the upper room, so we can all pray.
Yeah.
So that we can all pray and decide on the direction we take as a country. But for as long as
be listening to their prayer,
you are out there doing other things, you're likely to disorient us. Yes.
Karibu sana.
Let me join in saying Paul to the family of a fallen soldier. It wasn't going to be an easy mission all along.
Yeah.
And as you have said, we are also not certain that the kind of funding that was there with Biden will continue under Trump. We need to keep track of it very, very closely. I doubt the assurances that we may be given from time to time, but we have to be careful.
Yeah, indeed.
Yep.
We delve into a conversation now looking at politics and the state of our politics, especially now from where you are as a Jubilee party, a constituent member of Azimio and all. But what we usually do at the beginning of the hour is we like to look back at things that have been said by people such as yourself, or Mariam Bishar, or Eric, and bring back some of those quotes, quotable quotes.
I would want to hear what they have said, not what I have said.
What you have said. So what you're going to be told by this good girl, Jano, we call her Jano Wama quotes, she's going to give us a quote. And the first thing that we do is we all listen to the hints. She's going to give us a couple of clues of who this person is, then give us the quote, and see if we can tell who the person is.
Right. I've already started compiling the ones for Mariam and Latif. So one day I'll just throw it right back at the table and say, who said that? But this hint is, think of one of the most iconic Nigerian artists of all time, and the fact that he has also had a son who has been as successful in the music industry. Wow. So I think that's a pretty good hint. I'll read the quote and then see if you can get it. Music is the weapon of the future. Who said that?
That's a wastage food for me.
Music
is the weapon of the future. He had a documentary in 1982, Music is the Weapon. So it's really based on that, just talking about the philosophy of using music as a tool for resistance, activism, and social change. And this was 82.
I totally agree with the statement about music and the role it will play, or it has already played and will continue playing into the future. As to who said it, I will leave it to the other two.
A musician, father and son have been in music in Nigeria. He's a very good fella.
Not the ones who have sung, not the ones who composed the recent songs. I've seen.
A bit further back.
The fella is called Anikulapo.
Yeah, that is
his middle name.
That's a new one for me.
Fela Kuti.
Yeah, now that sounds familiar.
Now that sounds familiar.
That name now comes.
Yes, he's the one who said it.
Yeah, okay.
What does it mean? Like when you said you agree with the statement, music is the weapon of the future.
It is a very useful weapon. If you look at even now in our own political space, we see musicians have a role to play. They are really used during campaigns and such. They communicate much faster, and but they are also able to capture the attention of people. And thereafter, you can deliver your messages. But it's a really useful weapon to do many things into the future.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So Jubilee and Azimio, are you still in Azimio?
I have always been in Azimio.
As Jubilee party, not as Kioni.
If there is one entity that has never been in doubt as to where we belong, is Jubilee. And the reason is that we signed a binding document, coalition agreement, at the beginning of the 5-year term that we have. And that document is still, with the Register of Political Parties. It's also with the Speaker of the National Assembly, deposited there. There is, for those who desire to exit, there is a provided way of exiting. There are those who said they have exited. There are those who have written and taken steps to exit. So I am still in Jubilee as a Secretary General, and in Azimio as a coalition party. And in Azimio, the majority party is ODM. Second biggest party in Azimio is Jubilee. Third is Wiper, followed by DAP Kenya. So anything that needs to be shared within Azimio must follow that pattern. And I'd say this because Azimio has been brought back by the ruling that was delivered by a 3-bench judge, where they were declared the majority on the floor of the House. That declaration by the court was not for interpretation by the Speaker. He was just supposed to pronounce Junet as the leader of majority. And if there are things to be shared out of that declaration, then they must be shared in that format. ODM, Jubilee, Wiper.
Okay.
Yes.
So be that as it may, the Speaker of the National Assembly came back and issued a direction in the House and said the majority in the House is Kenya Kwanza and the minority is Azimio. So what next?
A court, back to court for contempt proceedings against the Speaker. And I'm sure we'll be getting a date very soon on the same. We in Jubilee and in Azimio believe in the rule of law. We follow the law as it provided. But there you are, the Speaker did what he did. And I hope all of us within Azimio, those who are still stuck, not stuck, those who are still in Azimio, will...
nice Freudian slip, that one.
Yeah, it's a stuck. You can still go with it. Those of us who are still stuck in Azimio will have the courage to push that position. Because it's not for now, even for future. What does the judgment provide? That when you go and vote, you as the voter, you are the one who determines or who decides which organ of government you will give the executive, which organ of government you give the legislative, and the judiciary is never in question. So on the 10th, was it 10th or 9th? On the 9th, I can't remember these dates properly.
It was 9th of August.
9th of August 2022, Kenyans voted and decided that the executive authority will be given to KK, but the legislative duties will be given to Azimio. The Speaker himself, on now 2 occasions, had decided to take away that mandate from Kenyans and give it to himself. It's a blatant abuse of the provisions. It's actually an abuse of office, disregard of the Constitution, and being very contemptuous of judgments that have come out of our courts. Yeah.
But Jeremiah, who's the leader of Azimio?
Raila. Raila Amolo Odinga is the leader of Azimio. He is the party leader of Azimio. The chairman of the council is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Both of them excellencies. There was some bit of interlude when Baba was pursuing the AUC seat, and unfortunately we lost it because it was not his, it was all ours. We lost it. And during that interlude, I am on record as having said that the senior most within the Azimio fraternity was Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Excellency. And we allowed him to lead us while Baba was away. Now that he is back, I expect him to call the Azimio team, those who are still left or stuck in Azimio. And we get to take stock of what has happened, where we are, and perhaps what we would want to do going forward. Is it to forward forward? What do we want to do? And there are many people with many ideas. There are those who want to form other coalitions. There are those who think that there is still something that can come out of the current coalition. You know, there are those who have moved on, and so there are many things that we need to sit around and discuss.
Discuss and almost iron out. I hear you when you say we're taking this to court because, you know, we deserve a fair hearing. I hear you when you say that our leader traveled, and so in the interim we had to have somebody leading. Some might see this as wrangles, a lack of direction. And I wonder how you'd respond to that, and even more, whether this also means that it's weakened the ability of Jubilee to actually offer real solutions as opposition, real solutions in leadership. What would you say to that? Langos
and disagreements and whatever, it's a common thing and within politics, and it's the order of the day. Every morning you wake up to sort out or to manage the issues that require to be hammered and get agreements on. Slowing down, maybe that's the one that I would use. The movement by Baba to AUC, which was fairly almost abrupt, to caught us unawares, certainly did weaken the role of opposition. But that is not even the major thing. What is ailing, because it's good to say, what is ailing the opposition. And I must say that, was it not for the Gen Z who came out on the 25th of June and thereafter helped Kenyans to be the opposition to the current regime, Azimio was already getting overwhelmed. But thereafter, with the movement of parties, you remember we had our own problem in Jubilee, where our own members decided to go into government on the floor. That was again a betrayal to the Kenyans voter, who expected them to offer the balance and checks on the floor. It came, again, we saw a chunk of members of ODM do the same. But eventually, Baba himself closed over and got into the broad-based government. All these are aspects that made it difficult to continue offering the opposition, or really the balance and checks that an opposition entity should do. But that's now is even more complicated, because as we sit today, we have what I may call, I hope I am not going to irritate anybody, but we are used to it. I may call ODMB. We now have ODM. You can clearly see some two very vicious groups in ODM. So it's really, you can say you have ODM A, ODM B.
Yeah.
B that has decided that we are supporting the current regime, even come 2027, we'll vote for them. A that is completely at variance with that.
Right.
When you go again to UDA, you literally have UDA A, which is stuck with government, and UDA B, which is stuck with Gachagua. And you can now see the UDA B is trying to play opposition politics, and they're in government. So they are sitting inside government and trying to play opposition politics. We have ODM B seated in opposition, but trying to play government. These two units, ODM B and UDA B, if I was seated in State House, is good music. Because those are the ones that are likely to guarantee William Ruto another 5-year term.
Where do you sit?
I am not in any of those, and I wasn't wearing sufuria because I had any intention of getting anywhere near that.
Right.
It's very clear in my mind. If this confusion that they have brought into the opposition continues, that is a way of giving another 5-year term to the sitting president.
Is Jubilee a part of Azimio?
Jubilee is part of Azimio.
By choice? That's what I was going to ask. By choice. You're there, you've signed an agreement, you're bound to it, but there are ways of leaving the coalition. But are you there by choice? Because,
by choice because we campaigned against, we were on the opposite campaign side of KK. We didn't believe in the policies that they put on the table for Kenyans. We didn't believe in them. We still have even a serious problem today as to how they have continued managing the country. Before I walked in, you were discussing about the education system in this country, which is completely, has collapsed. It has collapsed in the hands of KK. Very sad thing. If we cannot guarantee the future of our children, what can you say as a parent you woke up to come and work? What is it that brought you into this room, other than the desire to ensure that your child, and your child being a Kenyan child, has a better future for tomorrow? As we sit here today, we have the private hospital saying that they are not going to offer medical service to Kenyans. Why? Because the Shisha thing has also collapsed.
Right.
You talk about education again, and I can see you people are likely to have left the university a little after I and Latif. Yes.
Maybe slightly after.
Well, there you go, the debate. And we were in a university that was functioning. You were certain that X amount of money was going to be paid by government, and I was going to ask for this amount of money from my parents, or I was going to the help. There was a functioning system. Now it's collapsed. You ask your siblings the kind of hell they are going through at the university level. So all these systems have collapsed. And we were worried because even when we were, remember the KK team was also in Jubilee 2017. And they kept opposing the policies that were being pushed by Jubilee all the way to 2022. So we had a reason to say we are clear in our minds the direction they are taking is not good for this country. And it has come to be. So we are not in Azimio by accident. We are there because we knew from day one this was not going to work.
Right.
And we actually told them that what you are trying to object to, because they kept objecting to all the policies we put on the table for the last 5 years, was not a good thing. That's why I get a little perplexed when I say I am perplexed, but not in despair. It's because these people, and especially the UDAB, are the same people who opposed what we put on the table as Jubilee. Today, they are now, I remember Latif using this word. I was listening to you the other day. We listened to you also, and you said about the high priest, that you cannot all of a sudden become the high priest to tell us what is wrong with the, I don't know what to say, but
High priest of good governance.
If you can remember that. They cannot all of a sudden become the high priest of governance. And then they are the ones holding us at ransom and telling us, we are going to tell you the direction and where we go after this. You can't tell me that, by the way. It's an insult to us. We told you from the beginning that where you are going into the bush.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, when you have come out of the bush, you now come and tell me, you want to tell me where to go? No. We know where we are going as a Jubilee. When we tell you that we already have a presidential candidate called Matiang'i, why? Is because all this corrupt system is not a question of, and I have told you that we are in the upper room. Kenyans are all in the upper room. They have decided to head the maombi, and we have decided a couple of things. You know, in the upper room, there is in one accord. We are in one place, one accord. And I can tell Kenyans, you Kenyans are in that one place where they are saying things are not working. We need to fix it. And that's why I like fixing the nation. And fixing the nation is not holding people at ransom and telling them, you tell them where to go. They already know. When we were wearing sufurias in Maandamano, we knew where we wanted to go. Now we have a candidate called Matiang'i from Jubilee. So I am not waiting for you to come and tell me about, if you can't agree with Matiang'i, tell Kenyans. Because when I speak to Kenyans outside, even as I was walking in, the guards, hapa kwa mlango, nasema, na hapo mmeshikilia ya Matiang'i, tunapenda. So Kenyans know where we are going, unless you again want to come and take them off. Kuja,
that's track.
Join. You know, so we are not in Azimio. We are not where we are by accident.
Right.
It's a deliberate thing. We are not talking about Matiang'i by accident. It's deliberate because who is this who can come and issue orders that we want funding to the universities tomorrow? Go back to NHIF. Bring back Huduma number. Edu Afya must work tomorrow. Who among all the candidates that have been put on the table is a person of that character? Right. And that is why Kenyans are saying they really want us to remain on course, and we know where we are going. They like where we are going. If you think we are not on the right track, come with your own track. Again, that's the freedom guaranteed by, but don't hold us. Sisi tunaendelea. Yes, if you ask me, I'll tell you where we are next. We are going next weekend. We will be in Kajiado. We will be in other places. Why? To continue on the road that we have chosen. And it's not us, it's Kenyans.
Right.
Kama unaona kuna barabara ingine unataka kujenga huko kando, hiyo lazima iwe ni amara.
Before we get into Matiang'i, which we'll definitely dive into, as of now, how do we reconcile? You said you aligned with Azimio and Azimio politics, right? But now that your coalition leader has seemingly changed sides, right? Very friendly with the government of the day, with President William Ruto, who was fronting him for the AUC chairmanship. Does it make sense for you to still be in Azimio?
A very good question and not an easy one. But this is the thing. You see, we are Azimio as coalition parties. There is an agreement that is binding us together for a period of 5 years. If it becomes untenable, you exit because the exit clauses are provided for. But where from the Jubilee point of view, exiting that platform is abandoning the only platform left for Kenyans to say no. The legal position. Because as a member of Azimio, recognized by the Constitution as forming the majority now, not the minority. If you abandon that platform, then you go to the streets and you start talking from the streets. But if our members, the few who believe in the coalition agreement, on the floor, continue pushing on behalf of Kenyans, that is a constitutional platform they can use. And they will have to be listened to because it's provided for. So abandoning that coalition agreement now and jumping into another is like you really just were in that agreement just for personal gains. So our leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, has moved on to broad-based government. But remember, in his own words, he said, it's only that he donated some experts to try and fix the government or fix the nation. Whether you agree with it or not, that's another debate. But those are his words. He says he's still available to lead Azimio. And that's why I'm very eager to see him convening the Azimio and seeing whether we really are still on the same mind. But even as we discuss that issue, that has not stopped us as Jubilee to continue moving, chatting our way forward and talking to Kenyans and fixing the nation with them. And we are engaging them. And we have engaged them, and I can tell you this is not, I know you come to it, it's not been an easy journey. When we were wearing those sufriyas on our heads, we were also listening. And we knew that there is something we need to do differently. And we are on that course. And I am encouraged by the kind of statements that I receive from people as I walk around or I move around this country. They can see there is hope of fixing the difficulties that we are in. But we need everybody in the upper room.
Let's talk about that a bit after this break, because we have to find out, do we have a dysfunctional opposition? Do we have a completely dysfunctional political class in this country that is not listening to the people? Are the citizens now the opposition, the true opposition in this country or not? The Jubilee route of fronting Matiang'i, we'll also discuss that. But that is all coming up after this break. We are hosting Jeremiah Kioni, who is the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, which he says is still firmly and with both legs in Azimio. What is that doing and how are they faring? We'll be back shortly after that break.
Truth is not governed. The truth governs our beliefs, our faith, the trust we give, the democracy we seek. When held back, it always breaks free. Seek the truth. Set yourself free. Subscribe to read online at epaper.nation.africa. Daily Nation, the truth unfiltered.
There are ways that you haven't changed. I can still tell when you're lying, like when you were a little girl. What are you hiding from me, dear?
Dario and Di are in love.
Did you hear that?
Did you leave him seeing stars?
The entire Milky Way, sweetheart.
I'm not a child anymore. I'm 18 and I am old enough.
Even so, this guy's much older than you.
It doesn't matter. That's an issue between me and Dario.
You are the one.
Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Helen, you have won everything there is to win. There is only one medal you're looking for.
When I was doing 5K and 15, I was saying like, I'm not yet to find my best event. I can do much better in a marathon. So that's what I'm doing right now. My name is Helen Obiri. Catch me on Sports On MTV.
Just Mr. Payslip, get a mobile loan of up to 500,000 shillings or an unsecured loan of up to 9 million shillings. Visit a Cooperative Bank branch today. Cooperative Bank, we are you.
How do we look every single day? We're in the streets. We are enjoying the vibe of the street, of the everyday person. Really focusing on confidence, number one, focusing on street style, focusing on everyday style, focusing on what glam means to you.
Whatever you feel is good for you, that's glam for me.
If you are confident in what you're wearing, that's gonna show. It shows with your posture, it shows with the way you speak. Take up space.
Hustle is survival.
When a loved one's lost.
Catch these exciting shows only on Maisha Magic Plus on DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 3.
What's up, nation? By the way, there's the current notion that is being spread that Mount Kenya region should not show their discontentment. They should not show their grievances or maybe their discretion about this government. Their aggression to this government. This notion that is being spread is telling the Mount Kenya, you should align yourselves with the president in order for you to get development projects, roads, etc. So we have a devolved government, so we don't need to align ourselves with the president to get this development.
We hear you guys, we do love you. My name is James. I'm here with my friends Saifi and Balala. Enjoy. Bye, 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 bye.
Hello guys, this Calvin's. As you can see, I'm along River Nzoia. Mnaweza ona hapa hivi tunatoa mchanga safi. This already harvested sand, as you can see. Mchanga safi sana. Vitu tunatumia kutoa hii mchanga. Hapa tuko na boat.
Hardworking Kenyans. Right? Yeah. And sharply opinionated Kenyans.
Very.
Right? People who are woke and they're saying, you know what, it doesn't mean that because I speak out against what I don't like, it therefore means that now you deny me my rights, my constitutional right as a citizen. It doesn't mean that.
No.
And then there's, you know, those young men who are saying, you know, wherever they are, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And then our sand harvester, Pauline Mungai on YouTube, saying the sand collection in Trans Nzoia was really cool. And I was just thinking, fixing the nation one sand harvest at a time. Whatever you're doing in your industry, where you are.
Kenya.
We have to. It's really up to us. I spent a lot of yesterday in our farmers market and I said, I'm buying from each and every one of you, not because I have money, but I want to support you because you're trying to do the right thing by being here, bringing your hustle on a Sunday, leaving your family behind. Let me not even say.
Campaign. Inaanza namna hiyo pole. She becomes popular in the market.
Women
but I hope also when you are there, you didn't bargain. You know, we bargain with the Mama Boga, but at the supermarket, which is even more expensive, that always hits me.
Absolutely didn't. But how can people WhatsApp Nation us, Mariam? Why should they now be able to do it non-stop?
Right, easily. First of all, our number is 0112 500 400. 0112 500 400. You take it on landscape like this and you say, hi, Hi, my name is Mariam. Leo niko Kimathi Street, and I am trying to fix the nation by figuring out who is the opposition in this country. And you just send that video to us, and of course, we'll play it on. If unasema, oh, sina bundles, tuko na bundle hapa inaitwa Smarter Bundle, courtesy of Airtel. For 1,000 bob, you get 30 GB of data. So you can't say, oh, no bundles, no bundles, no bundles. You can watch us on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere. You also get 400 minutes to any network, 3,000 minutes to Airtel. And if you move money from your bank to your mobile money wallet, that transaction fee comes back to you as airtime. So you can never say ati pesa ilisha. We have some Facebook feedback actually to get through before we get back into our conversation. Yeah, nani ni opposition, na nani si opposition.
Actually, Mariam,
yes.
Who is the opposition in this country?
Kenyans on Twitter, Kenyans qua ground, Kenyans are the official opposition. I know who the official opposition is by law, but from a feeling perspective, it genuinely feels like it's Ni Wananchi ndio opposition.
And that's a valid point. And I think in as much as Mr. Kioni has answered, I think it's also to make sure that that spirit is felt, that people don't feel like there is a strong opposition, which is where people kind of bid their hope when it comes to an election. So right now it's hard to know what is that going to look like in 2027. But we're going to go back into that conversation in a bit, I think after sampling some messages on Facebook.
Yeah, Alex Kidito says, ask Jeremiah Kioni. I've seen him recently with my party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, and the last time he told Kenyans that my party is the best, my party leader is the best candidate. Tell him to stop divisive politics. Mchezo wa town, Matiang'i has never come out to be endorsed by Kioni. Uhuru is just doing politics of divide and rule. Mats Alexa says, early morning fixers, leo tuna fix na Jeremiah Kioni. Yeah. Dr. Fred Matiang'i. Is this the one? It says the best Secretary General ever. I'm not sure.
Why don't you want to read that one loudly?
I've read it loudly. It says best Secretary General ever.
Hey. Then there's another one. Matthews Ndumbi is saying, we have seen two factions within Jubilee, one led by the likes of Kanini Kega and one being led by you, Mr. Kioni. Can you clarify whether Jubilee is as united as it was before the general election?
Those are like 2-3 solid questions and points from members of the public. I think it's a good place to start.
Yeah, it is.
Or do I?
Yes.
Let me start with the easier one. This is the Jubilee function. The names you have mentioned are people who moved into UDA. They are now struggling to get out of UDA because they don't actually know whether they wanted to move into UDA A or UDA B. So they are now lost. And we do not have two functions in Jubilee. If you want to know the Jubilee Party, go to the ORPP. The courts also pronounce themselves on it. Party leader Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni. Those who keep talking about functions of Jubilee are likely to belong to the rebellious angle. They are the ones who seem to have been defeated. And that's why they keep trying to throw confusion. They think they can confuse Kenyans. But Jubilee Party is the largest political party in this country, with a registered membership of 7.1 million Kenyans as of today, and the records of ORPP. The second largest party, I think, is ODM. I had the SG Sifuna, whom I really respect. I like his positions and the way he articulates them. He said they were trying to get to the 5 million, or they are around the 5 million number. So when you have a 7 million membership, that's not a small group to lead. And it is not a small group that you start asking which function is which. Unless you yourself belong to that rebellious wing, you'll always hear those people asking, those who did not really like the direction we're moving. And it is also a team that you actually see quite a bit with the UDAB, you know. And they don't want to say it, but they're also really opposed to Uhuru Kenyatta's way of leadership. They have their own beef, but they want to hide a couple of things. So that's not in doubt. And again, as I said, the judgment was loud and clear. The other one you have said is on the other was issue was Kalonzo.
Yeah.
Whatever. I said it clearly that Kalonzo was our leader in the absence of Raila when he went to the AU, and I am the one who actually, on my own account, and pushed and said, Kalonzo Musyoka is our leader in the absence of Raila, and if it would have held or pertained today if Raila succeeded at the AU, because we were not going to be left without a leader. We were going to look very directionless, and we needed to focus to go around ourselves. And we continued moving around this country with him, talking about the issues that were disturbing Kenyans. The cost of living, education, health, the ng'ombe kudungwa sindano, mambo hayo yote. We moved with him as our leader. But as I said, now that Raila is back, it will be important to see how does he want to handle the issue of Azimio. Depending on how it spans out again, we may be required to pronounce ourselves differently.
But I think the question here,
the question is this. I'm going to that.
The person is saying that you have previously said Kalonzo would be the best candidate for Azimio. Have you ever said Kalonzo would be the best candidate for Azimio?
If it is Azimio, that I have no quarrel with. I am talking about, you look at Azimio and Jubilee.
So Kalonzo is the best
We
candidate
are now
for Azimio.
talking, when I talk about Jubilee, I'm talking about Jubilee post-Azimio agreement. When we have exited the coalition, which will happen, in my opinion, towards the end of this term. When we get into that new phase, who is going to be the candidate for Jubilee? And it is not a decision that I've made. It's a relay, and that's why when somebody says that he's coming to give us the direction, I get perplexed. Because this is a debate we've been having for a long time with people, not in a forum where you can cover it. But I tell you how we have, and it's even a deeper discussion. The question that I started by asking people, mimi mwenyewe, na nilianza, Jubilee I said is 7.1, but it's predominantly, it's really the party that is predominant within the mountain. So I asked the people in the mountain, come next general elections, how would it be if we within the mountain decided not to front somebody? That was the starting. And they said that might be a good thing because we see like the 41 against 1 is being brought on the table and we have all that history. And it got to a point where now if you ask majority, I can tell you 99 or 95% of people from the Mulima, they don't want number 1 position. So they already have decided the direction they want to go. We do not want to vie for the presidency. And I am not saying those who have declared for the presidency like Mother are doing anything wrong. It's still within their right. And they'll be out there to convince people. That's why we talk about these things so that you can see whether they are buy-ins or not. So that is the first decision that we got into. The next decision, which I started in a place called Gilgil, was mentioning names so that Kenyans themselves you throw the names out there and they decide. And when they mentioned, they picked on the name Matiang'i. So it's not a Uhuru thing, like somebody is trying to say. It's not a me thing. It's the Kenyans. Today, if you ask anybody walking here outside, they'll give you their position. We want
so
Matiang'i.
Is the party open?
Let me just
to other names being fronted.
Of course, yes. If you want to bring another name, bring it on top.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
let me say
the Secretary General Kioni, when the Secretary General of the party comes and says, we have Matiang'i as our person, that is an endorsement.
No.
By the Secretary General.
It is a suggestion that
you are not sounding like you're making a suggestion.
When it becomes,
you are endorsing Dr. Fred Matiang'i.
Which I don't also think is a crime. But the thing is this: the endorsement comes out after you have been in an organ. Every party has party organs.
Yes.
As we are going around and we are in Kajiado on Saturday, these are views from Kenyans. They themselves are saying tunataka Matiang'i. By the way, kwa hapo kuna wengine bado wanatajataja lakini unasikia wanakuamilia, ukauliza mnataka nani, then themselves say, so who am I to continue saying anything different? But if you have another name, Latif, we will take it. And you hear a good lady was already in the market yesterday, so you never know, the name could get
good girl Jano here, for example.
But yes, and we are not.
But what is the process of picking a candidate?
Before that, let me tell you the other thing, so that we know where we are going. Before I get you the process. The other thing is this. Now the direction, the debate that I hear with the people, again from the mountain, wanasema, hata hii namba 2, kama tunaweza odokea, tufikirie. That's now a debate that is already on the table. And it's a very serious thing, because it really is a spanner in many places.
What do you think?
And there are many people who will continue attacking the name Matiang'i, and perhaps the process we have arrived at of Matiang'i, not because they have a problem with Matiang'i, but not because they have a problem with the process, but because they're already scared with the direction we've taken. Because that is the direction of this country. Remember, our constitution talks about all these processes. And when we were making this constitution, we said, at one point, we want to see a person from a smaller community leading this country. Not on account of numbers that he may come with from his background, but on account of his ability to perform and transform this country.
Yeah.
And that's why I like this debate, because while political leaders wants to take us back to the number issue, Kenyans have moved to performers.
Yeah.
Who are these people who can help us get out of the difficulties we are in, and in a hurry? And that is why you will find the name Matiang'i, not just in the mouths of those from Jubilee, but even from ODM. Other than the political leaders, the membership of ODM, membership of Wiper, membership of NAC Kenya, the members themselves are saying this candidate that has been put on the table by Jubilee is not a bad name.
Let's talk performance.
Before performance, let me just, allow me, do this way.
All right.
Just a quick one.
Okay.
The procedure that you follow. The procedure that you follow, you start by, what is it?
Fronting.
Not fronting. This good lady again, laid it bare for us in the morning. You start by going to the marketplace to buy the
Listen
fruits.
to the people.
Not even listening to the people. You go out there and let people know you exist. They start talking about your name. Before you come to the party processes, people must have known the name, they must have engaged with it, so that when you are coming to make those final decisions, as provided for in the constitutions of the party, and perhaps in the IEBC and all these things, there must have been an engagement. And the engagement that is there now is among those names. And I am also helping in that engagement. And finally, on this thing, when you have a party with a 7.1 million membership, we have already realized that you cannot be able to mobilize members of your party without a presidential candidate. We tried it 2022, it didn't come out well. We are not going to repeat that mistake again.
All right. Let's talk
and
performance.
then the issue is this number 2, wewe munaona kama ni nani? You may not give me the answer now, but hii number 2 pia, watu wanaanza kuangalia waseme ni. And while they have a package.
Okay.
And if you run away from it as a leader, wewe mwenyewe utakuwa na shida. Anyway, now performance.
The candidate that is being fronted in this case, we've said let's move past numbers and tribes, etc. Let's move and see who are performers. Last year we saw young people come out in the streets, and then a pushback from the government led to a lot of loss of lives. A lot of people were either abducted, disappeared, etc. Excessive use of force, all those issues came about. During his tenure at the Interior Minister, a lot of the same things happened under Fred Matiang'i's tenure as Interior Minister. The Kiandra Koma brothers, whether it's the deportation of Miguna, things like that. Is that the candidate that you want to front in a time when we're already feeling like our civil liberties are at risk? Young people are already feel like they're at odds with the government of the day, especially when it comes to the right to express themselves, to gather, to express political discontent and so on and so forth. So is Fred Matiang'i the person you want to front at this time, given his track record at the time at the Interior Ministry? does that not leave, especially young people, out of the room? Because a lot of these injustices were done to the young people of Kenya.
One
During
is
Kenya and the current one.
One is that remember that even during the demonstration by the young people, when they were still demonstrating, they asked for Matiang'i.
No, ask for Matiang'i in what sense?
There was that call that they want Matiang'i as their candidate.
Who are these
but
young
that,
people asking
well,
for Matiang'i
that is
as their
why
candidate?
perhaps
It's news to me, but maybe you could shed light.
yeah, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I thought I heard that.
No.
But this is the other thing that is amazing about this country. When you remember that we had this altercation between the then majority leader Ichung'wa and Natembeya, and the president was seated there. What is amazing is that he was asking Natembeya about abductions and the rest, but he was also not telling us that the deputy president of that regime, which is being accused of abductions, was seated next to him. You know, you want to take it to that other person whom you want to, now that he has said something that you do not like, you want to bring it out. But the person who was deputizing that whole process, including perhaps what you are saying, is the president who is there now. Yes? And it will be upon him to come and defend his track record. But also, I am saying, if there is a better name that we can put on the table, let it come. There is none of us who is 100% ikuje. But I'm also saying, even with that, who is this I saw transform the education sector? Who is this I saw step in with the security issues and the terrorism was brought down?
So human
Who is
rights
this
aside,
person? No.
Human rights aside,
even
here's your track record for education.
I would want to, yesterday Rigathi said that the person we should blame for the killings of Gen Z is Kindiki. That's what he said yesterday. But you remember when we were having demonstrations, he would even be brought, you'd bring him on social media, having woken up at 5, saying that he was the one in charge of quelling the abductions, not the abductions, the demonstrations.
The Azimio demonstration.
Yeah.
So, again, what do we say? Is it the Minister of Interior or is it the Deputy President? He himself was out there proudly saying, we are going to quell them.
So who do you think was responsible? You are experienced in politics and in governance. Who was responsible? Was it Matiang'i or was it Kindiki or the Deputy President?
It is a very interesting debate, and it is a thing that you may never get to the bottom of it. Because some of these decisions are made at the Security Council.
Okay.
And you may never get the truth about some of these things. But there is the office that we want to say, you are the ones who must tell us this. But remember also, Kome. IG. Why did Kome resign? I was in a demonstration, and we know how we pushed him. And eventually, he was not aware of what the things that were being done.
IG Kome.
Yeah. And he resigned because we were telling him this, and you saw it in the police with the courts. And I don't want to get into this
responsibility rests with the office.
And that is why Kome said, you can't continue, because the abductions are being blamed on the police. I don't know. I am the one seated here.
And so
I cannot speak like Muturi. Justin Muturi.
Yeah.
Are you getting?
We're coming
so
to
it's a very difficult question. It's a very difficult area. I don't have the answers, but it is an area that it's good to ask the person himself.
No, Matiang'i himself.
Yes, and that is why I agree with the gentleman saying, yeye ako wapi?
So that's the question. Has Matiang'i applied to Jubilee, or has Jubilee approached Matiang'i and told him, we'd like you to consider being our candidate?
There is no way we will go out speaking this way if there has never been any discussions.
So where is he?
Well, hata si nimekuja na nimekuta wewe hapa leo. Kuna watu walikuwa wanauliza huyu mtu tulikuwa tunamuona fulani alikuwa wapi sasa. So in the fullness of time he will be available. Again, politics has a lot to do with the timing and the planning. But I want you to tell me also, as you, where we are, you know, the difficulties that we are having.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. We are now beyond complaining and asking ourselves, you know, we keep saying the must go slogan. Every Kenyan now, nothing new. It's a question of who is this who can help us fix the nation? And that's the question I want us to ask ourselves. And who is it who can be so perfect as not to have a blemish anywhere? None.
Well,
so I am not saying that he is an angel, kwa sababu hata huyo utatafuta na utapata. But I believe when you put all of them in a table, then they will make a decision. And I'm saying also, it doesn't stop others from applying.
Yeah.
Yes, it doesn't stop you. By the way, why didn't I declare myself?
Good question.
I mean, I could have declared myself. Why didn't I declare myself? Now that you are asking. Lakini kuna kitu kingine hamjauliza.
Tumemaliza saa.
Kama umeuliza, umemaliza?
Tumemaliza. Muda wetu umeisha.
Yeah.
We thank you very much, Kioni, for joining us today and if you know, for this conversation. We'll invite you again. And when Fred Matiang'i's time is ripe, we want to have him here. Please send that message over to him. I'm sure he's watching. You have a conversation.
But it's good to say that he is engaged with the World Bank, and as a responsible person, there is a way of exiting from these employment opportunities that come your way.
Okay.
Kwa sababu hii siasa ni ya muda. You require that opportunity next time. So huwezi kibia kama umefukuzwa.
Jeremiah Kioni is the Secretary General of Jubilee. He's been our guest. We'll be talking about opposition and opposition politics and the direction that Jubilee Party is taking. In the next hour, we have the chairman of the Social Health Authority. Many, over 600 health facilities across the country under the Rural and Private Health Facilities Association are not accepting SHA cards. Why is that? We have clinical officers who are also on strike, and they have an issue with the Social Health Authority. Dr. Abdi Mohammed is our guest for the next hour. Keep it here for that.